Hello and welcome back to the iGP Manager AOR League. We're in Monaco for the 6th round of the championship after a thrilling race last week that saw the championship battle tighten at the top of the tables. Now just 10 points separating first from fourth. My name is Justin Sutton, and joining me once again this week, it's Alex Gillon.
Hello everyone. Yes, good to be back, and as Justin said, after that quite exciting week, and even more exciting in the championship now, and of course Monaco being quite a unique track. Quite looking forward to this race. Should be a good one.
Yeah, we might see a new winner potentially. Let's remind ourselves of the standings, which are up on the screen now. Peter Mann currently leads the way with 70 points, just 1 point ahead of Nicolas Morales, though. And then Nicolas Carrasco, after winning that race in Spain last time out, now moves up into third position, just 1 point ahead of Nicolas Navarro. Simone Fazzolari picked up another podium as well, which moves his total up to 43 points after that incredible last lap dash from fourth to second last week. That was really incredible to watch. Really enjoyed watching that one, but those are the standings. I should let everyone know, though, that we have actually lost Kevin Gonzalez from the league, unfortunately, due to the time change in England. He's not able to make the races anymore, so we do have a new manager that is coming in for this week and for further weeks as well. His name is Valentin Cordier. He is French, and he is now our third French manager, so they're now second as far as the best represented of all of the countries. We still have 4 Argentinians in this league, but we are now up to 3 French representatives as well. So as you can see, though, it is Chandler Saita, the American, who's starting on pole position ahead of Jose Luis Navarro, neither of whom really have had the season that they would have liked to have, as we're really close to getting racing here. Nicolas Carrasco, who won the race last time out in Spain, he starts from third position alongside Cesar Navarro, and they're right next to each other in the championship, so that's very interesting to see those two starting right next to each other. And then Johan Dimier is rounding out the top 5. Alex Gillon pointed out to me just before we went live that Peter Mann, our current championship leader, is in 10th position as we get underway here in Monaco and make our way down towards the first corner. And Dimier already gaining a couple of positions, moving up into 4th ahead of Morales and Navarro. Navarro dropping down. Peter Mann already up into 7th, Alex.
Yeah, incredible start. Just after you finished saying that he was starting way down in 10th, yeah, he gains 3 places off the start. So incredible start for him there. And actually, I find quite often the start can be an indicator of fuel. If you've got higher fuel than the guys around you, you can lose positions off the start. So could be a sign that Peter Mann's got lighter fuel, or could be a sign that he's just incredible at starts. We'll have to wait and see on that one, I suppose.
Yep, as we make our way down into the chicane for the first time in this race, and it is still Chandler Saita that leads the way. He's building a, I have to say, a pretty comfortable gap down to Jose Luis Navarro, so that could be a difference of fuel level as well, too. So just keeping an eye on all of them as Felix Cabanes moves back ahead of Peter Mann up into 7th position. The Spanish manager who finished in the top 5 last time out in Spain at his home race does get back ahead of the Brit. So it's looking very tight, though, between all of the drivers, of course, and Autosport started at the back. I saw that they had overtaken Coleman at the beginning of the race, but then it looks like Coleman got that position back. Everybody is on the super softs because that is just the nature of this track. It's only 14 degrees Celsius, bone dry out there as well, too. I don't think we're going to be getting any sort of precipitation for this race. But not a ton of changes of position, as you can imagine. Of course, no boost activated just yet either. And of course, the DRS zone, when it does get activated here, Alex, the DRS zone is so short in Monaco.
Absolutely, yeah. And once again, we should reiterate that these guys, this is a fresh account for this league, so they're still fairly low level, so the DRS isn't that powerful, neither is the boost. And just looking at the weather, Justin, it's 14 degrees. You mentioned it's nice and dry. 14 degrees, so that's sort of warmish for Europe. We're only just coming out of winter, unfortunately. And so I think the tyre, it could be interesting for tyre temperatures. In iGP, tyre temperatures very much are a thing. You need to make sure that you keep your tyres in between hot and cold, just nicely in the middle, the same as real life. Just so that they can get the maximum performance. But the other thing is that iGP very much, the tyre life is linked to speed, not to how much you push so much. It's more about speed. So, of course, this being probably, I can't think of a track on the calendar that's going to be a lower average speed than Monaco. So actually, these guys will be able to push a little bit harder, which on their tyres, which means they can go a little bit faster. But again, obviously, the ambient temperature does also come into that. Great start here from Chandler Saiter. I think I've said his name right, hopefully. Already pulled 1.4 seconds on P2, but it looks like Jose Luis is just coming back at him. He's done 2 purple sectors to start this lap. So much as it was a great start, these does look to be losing a little bit of time at the moment. There is, I should remind you that there is dirty air in iGP. I would say it's potentially not as strong as real life, but it certainly does exist. So around Monaco, just as in real life, it is very, very hard to overtake. We've seen a lot of boost usage and some DRS already, so these guys are really keen to get on with it, and this could push them up much closer to Chandler in P1. And well, at the minute, with that lots of boost usage and DRS, it's looking like the first 4 are pulling away at the moment, Justin.
Yeah, Cabanes actually managing to get by Morales, but then Morales getting back past him coming out of that first corner and climbing up the hill. But Incerralde gained a couple of positions before the start of lap 4. He moved ahead of Peter Mann, and I think it was Jake Thompson. Yeah, it was Jake Thompson, who's actually dropped down. He was in 9th, and I know that because I was going to mention how Jake was on for a points finish in his current position, but he has dropped down. He's one of the few managers that has yet to score so far this season. So I imagine he was very happy to be in the top 10, but has since been relegated. He could be on for a one-stop strategy. I imagine that's probably going to be what's most popular, as Carrasco and Dimier using lots of boost in Sector 3 here to close up to the back of Jose Luis Navarro, who is still in second position behind Chandler Saita. All 3 of them picking up the DRS off of our leader, while Cesar Navarro has sort of dropped back, and he's going to lose that 5th place position now to Nicolas Morales into and out of turn 1. Nicolas Morales using the vast majority of his boost already. Cesar Navarro still with a little more than half remaining, as Cabanes and Incerralde are debating 7th position at the moment, and Peter Mann has really started to drop back from those guys. But of course, he hasn't used any boost, and as you said, Alex, we saw a lot of boost usage on that previous lap from many of the cars in the top 3. In fact, we're seeing some more boost usage from Jose Luis Navarro as he makes his way down into the chicane once again, just trying to stick to the back of Chandler Saita, who has barely used any boost whatsoever. So he could be, potentially be on for a 2-stop strategy, potentially. We can only hypothesize, of course, at this stage of the race, but he is seeming rather quick, as Jose is using more than half of his boost bar just to keep up with Chandler.
Yeah, really interesting. And that has been the trend in this league, that these guys love to use boost. We're only on lap 6 of 39. And Jose Luis, I'm just going to check now, has used almost all of his boost, Jose Luis Navarro, I should say. So I think he might maybe have 5%, if that, of his boost left. So it's shocking to use that much boost this early. And it does mean that Chandler Saita, if he wants to now, he could just boost away from Jose Luis Navarro and just pull away. But as you said, he's conserving a little bit. Mind you, he has still used about a 3rd of his boost as well. So really interesting that they're using it so early and just desperately trying to pull away. And should just remind you of the championship positions as well. So In first, we have got Peter Mann at the moment, who's down in P9. Second place, just 1 point back, we have got Nicolas Morales, who's managed to make his way from P6 up to P5. So both Peter Mann and him have gained 1 position from the grid. And then we've got Nicolas Carrasco, who is up in P3. So at the moment, if they finish as they are, it should tighten the championship up even more than it is now, just. So I think it's important we keep a close eye on that as this race unfolds.
Yeah, just having a quick look at Valentin Cordier, our newest manager, replacing Kevin Gonzalez. He's running well in 11th position. He started pretty far down and has gained some positions as a result. Jake Thompson continues to drop back even further into the pack. It really does seem like he's a bit of a mobile chicane as well for the car that's behind us. We just catch Nicholas Coleman there actually making an overtake on the American Pressy, but he's going to deploy a little bit more, try and move himself ahead of Fazzolari. He's done exactly that actually, gaining a couple of positions in Sector 1 of lap number 7. 39 laps, of course, for this 50% distance race at 1.5x speed, and it is the 6th round out of 17 that will comprise the entirety of this inaugural season with Apex Online Racing. As we go into the chicane once again, Jake Thompson, yeah, he's lapping in the 131s, which is significantly slower than everyone ahead of him, to the tune of 6-7 tenths or more.
Yeah, really interesting there. It's quite a big leap, as you said there. The top 4 are still sort of pulling away a little bit from P5. Nicolas Morales in P5 was 2 tenths quicker than Johan Dimier in P4. So there is still that bit of a gap there. And of course, DRS does help. You can get a train of DRS that'll help you, go along a little bit faster. Yeah, just think about the strategy here, Justin. It's a hard one to call. I don't actually recall. Unfortunately, in my league, we alternate between 100% races and 50% races each season. So it's hard for me to judge the strategy that happened in my race, because it was almost 2 seasons ago now. But I'd suggest potentially a 1-stop, but that might be a bit too far. 39 laps is a long way to go on super softs, even in the cooler and slower temperatures. So potentially we could see a 2-stop. And they're all fairly similar pace. That would suggest to me that they're all on a fairly similar strategy. They're pretty much, the entire field is in the sort of mid-30s. There's no one really, as you mentioned, Jake Thompson is the only one that's just outside of that. So that would suggest to me that pretty much everyone's on the same strategy, but we are just yet to find out what that strategy will be. Justin, have you got any more insight into that?
No, I'm afraid I don't, but Cesar Navarro just moved past Nicolas Morales once again, actually, so those two are continuing to battle. Again, they are 2 of the sort of championship leaders at the moment, 2 of the contenders anyway, as it stands right now. Fazzolari, I have to say, is having a really poor race. I'm not going to count him out just yet. We saw him do some incredible things towards the end of the race in Spain last week, so I'm not going to discount him at the moment, but surely he can't be happy with that kind of pace as Cordier follows Thomas through the tunnel. I have been keeping an eye on that gap. Cordier was almost a little over 3 tenths quicker than Daniel Thomas up ahead of him on that previous lap, and does appear to be continuing to close in further and further onto the back of Daniel Thomas. So I don't think we're going to see anybody coming into the pits. I would assume if somebody's on for a 2-stop. Oh, actually, Cabanes is into the pits at the end of lap 9 with 30 laps still to go. That does seem rather early to me, Alex.
Yeah, that does seem a little bit early, and I'd say also a little bit worrying for his pace. I didn't actually catch if he was in too much traffic, but as I mentioned just previously, that everyone's in the mid-30s, so you would expect him to be going quicker if he is lighter, unless everyone else pits his lap, of course. But as you said, potentially a little bit early. I mean, that would put him on for a 3-stop, so unless he's opted for a lot of stops, so when you do that, of course, you're hoping to be in P1 and then pull away pretty much, and then and see what you can do with pace. But of course, Monaco, if you do that and end up stuck in traffic, you're in quite a bit of trouble. I'm just comparing to the grid positions, Justin, and it looks like we are pretty much as they started. Cesar Navarro is now in P5, Johan Dimier is in P4. They've swapped positions. But other than that, the top 6 are all exactly as they started. So that's just showing you that Monaco is very much like real life. And, there is lots of traffic. It's been pretty much everyone coming to the pits there, as I mentioned, could be a possibility. So a lot of people are on for potentially a 3-stop, unless they're going to run a little bit longer after this stint. And looks like Nicolas Morales is just staying out for another lap. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do just 1 more lap or if he's able to do a couple more laps. And again, we should reiterate, iGP is all about the overcut. It's a refueling game. So, of course, now Nicolas Morales, having not pitted, will be much lighter on fuel and, in theory, able to go quicker, providing his tyres aren't too warm.
Yeah, Chandler Saita re-emerging in second position and actually ahead of Thompson and Coleman, who have not come into the pits yet. Other than Morales and Thomas, those are the leading guys that have yet to come into the pits. It seems that a lot of these guys are on for a 3-stop, which is very surprising. I would have expected a 1-stop, but this is why I'm commentating the league and not participating in the league, because these guys are good at what they do, and I'm good at the talking stuff, and that's about it. But yeah, I would have expected a 1-stop as Carrasco makes his way past Coleman, making quick work out of him, and continuing on for another lap. And it is Daniel Thomas this time who comes into the pits at the end of lap 11. Morales continues on for yet another lap. I have to say, if Morales is on for one less stop than the rest of the field, then he's probably looking pretty good at this point, with an over 8-second gap down to Chandler Saita. Thompson has moved down into 5th position. Coleman has now been into the pits as well too, so he was the one that was still running around on the outside. And another team that hasn't been into the pits yet, Alex, interestingly, is Autosport. So they could be on for a 2-stop strategy potentially. They're now at the dizzying heights of 10th position, although they do have Inceralde and the championship leader Peter Mann directly behind them. So it's going to be difficult to hold on to that position for much longer, I think. But yeah, it looks like maybe Morales, Thompson, Pressey, and Autosport all going for one less stop compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, potentially, unless they pit this lap. But someone in the chat, Artie in the chat, just trying to keep an eye on the YouTube chat. So do drop your comments there, and I'll try and read them out for you. But Artie there saying there's not really another strategy option in Monaco in the 50% distance. It's generally 2-stop. Then he does go on to say that you go super soft, 13 laps, 13 laps, 13 laps. And of course, we just saw actually the entire pit on lap 10 or 11. So yeah, his maths are clearly slightly off there, but I do agree. I believe that is what I did when I was on the 50% race some time ago. And he goes on to say that no other tyres really work at Monaco, which feeds into what earlier about tyre temperatures. I believe if you use your soft tyres, it's very difficult to keep them up to temperature. I imagine, just to reiterate for anyone who perhaps doesn't play IGP, you have 5 push levels as a manager when you attend these races. So you can choose between 1 and 5, and that just obviously determines how hard your driver pushes. I believe it also determines sort of engine power mode, so you get a bit more speed in the straights as well. And I imagine most of these guys will be on a very high push level just to try and maintain that tyre temperature. That's the main thing that you use push levels for. So we see Nicolas Morales coming to the pits then. So he managed to do, was that about 2 or 3 laps more than the rest of the field? And as you said, end of lap 13. So he is dead on for a 2-stop. So it will be interesting to see if these guys are fueled a bit harder to only stop once more, or they'll be stopping twice more. But I'm a little bit surprised. I would have expected 2-stop to be the norm rather than 3 stops. So yeah, it's a really interesting one.
Yep, Autosport as well came into the pits, as did Nicholas Pressey and also Jake Thompson. I don't know if those were at the end of lap 13 or if that was on a previous lap, but they've all been into the pits. Everybody has been into the pits, so certainly nobody is going for a 1-stop strategy, which I had said earlier, which again just goes to show how good I am at this game. But it does look like it is going to be vastly 3 stops with a few 2-stops thrown in there as well. Of the 2-stop runners, Nicolas Morales does seem to be the highest positioned. He is going to be slower than the cars around him at the moment because all of those guys are 3-stopping. As Cesar Navarro actually deploying a bit of boost now. He's trying to close up to the back of Felix Cabanes, who is not going to pick up the DRS off of Johan Dimier ahead of him in 4th position. Is Navarro going to be close enough to pick up the DRS on this occasion? No, he is not. And neither was Peter Mann on the back of Nicolas Morales. So both of those guys, both Navarro and Peter Mann, just outside of DRS range, unfortunately for them, and not picking up any sort of assistance. Again, it's not a massive difference, but it can help you close up to the back of the car ahead, and then maybe some boost usage coming out of that first corner will see you ahead. But we're into approaching the halfway point of this race. We're past 1/3 distance. As I mentioned, everybody's been into the pits. I could just bring up the screen just so everybody can see. The top 5 have all been on this set of tires for 5 laps, with Cesar Navarro pitting 1 lap later at the end of lap 10. So he will have marginally fresher tires. And then the likes of Daniel Thomas and Valentin Cordier pitting on laps 10 and 11 and so on. Peter Mann, though, using some boosts to close up to the back of Morales. He's going to be very, very close coming out of the final corner. He will get the DRS this time, of course, and he's going to be closing to the back of Morales, and I think he's going to do it without even needing the boost. Will he use some boost to pull away coming out of the corner? No, he's feeling pretty comfortable And of course, Morales, I think you pointed this out earlier, Alex, with almost no boost remaining at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just been looking at the strategies, Justin, compared to where they were before they pitted. And actually, the big winner of the top sort of 6 or 7 or so through the pit stops was Felix Cabanes, who was, I believe he was P7 before they pitted, and he's now up to P5. So I believe he's gained 2 positions. And the interesting point is that he actually pitted 1 to 3 laps earlier than the cars ahead. So actually, I think on this track, the tyre wear must be coming into play. And I imagine that him just coming in early, getting a fresh set of tyres. Yes, he was on much heavier fuel loads, but just having brand new tyres helped him, because I think the guys ahead must have just had dead tyres, which perhaps illustrates why they're potentially going for a 3-stop, we think. But again, we'll have to see. They're already on lap 7 of this stint, so we reckon it'll be about 10 lap stints if they're going to go for a 3-stop, or they'll have to stretch it to more like, perhaps 14 or 15 if they're going to move back to a 2-stop. So yeah, Felix Cabanes is the big gainer for that pit stop phase.
Yeah, very surprising, making the undercut work, which as we've been saying all throughout the season is difficult to do. Usually the overcut is stronger as long as you've got tire life remaining, but as you've said, clearly the tire wear becoming more of an issue here at Monaco than we initially predicted. The top 4 are still pretty evenly spread out, you have to say. Just remind ourselves what's going on with them. Chandler Saita still leads this race. And if I remember correctly, Monaco was where he qualified. Isn't that right, Alex? He qualified for the AOR iGP League at Monaco?
Chandler Saita, yes, he did. Yeah, he was saying in the chat just before the race that he did qualify for this league at this track, and also this is his 2nd pole of the season, so clearly a good track for him.
Yeah, so I imagine he's going to be feeling pretty confident at this stage. He's been successful here before. Just for those that aren't aware, in order to qualify for this league, you had to win a race in the qualifying league. So what that means is that Chandler Saito won the Monaco Grand Prix the last time he was racing here in Monaco. He won that race, and that was what got him into qualifying, or into the broadcast league. And that's what earned him his position. So clearly he is a bit of a specialist around this circuit, and we'll be hoping to capitalize on that. At the moment, it does seem that Felix Cabanes is extending his gap down to Cesar Navarro, closing the gap down to Johan Dimier up ahead of him, one of the 3 French managers. And of course, this is kind of their home race, the Monaco race. So because of course we don't have a race in France proper, I guess you would say, but we do have this in Monaco. So this is the closest thing to a home race that our French managers are going to be getting. And he is leading the way as the leading French manager at the moment. Again, Cordier is our other new French driver, and Coleman is the 3rd one. He's currently outside of the points, down in 13th position, narrowly ahead of the other American of Nicolas Pressy. So the French guys are spread out all throughout the field, but the Americans are at the polar ends, currently leading the way and in 3rd to last as they stand right now. But of course, again, just to remind everybody, the likes of Peter Mann, Nicolas Pressy, Nicholas Coleman, these guys are doing 1 less stop. However, Alex, do you know how much time is lost for a pit stop? Because just looking at the gap to the leaders, I don't know. I have to say the 2-stop is seeming better.
Yeah, I believe that the pit loss time isn't so bad at this circuit as it is other circuits. It's a nice short pit lane, and the cars aren't going quite so fast down the pit straight. I actually remember a few years ago, I don't know if you played this long ago, Justin, there was actually a strange bug where you got to go full speed in the pit lane, which made some really crazy strategy at this race. But of course, that has been fixed a number of years ago. That was a very short-lived bug. That was always made this track quite fun because you had to know the ins and outs. And it looks like Felix Cabanes there has just pitted again. So he has gone 9 laps and then 10 laps on his tyres. And the other guys are now on their 10th lap, I believe. So they're potentially going for 11 laps. But I expect to see, if we are going to be going for a 3-stop race, I expect to see most of the guys in the pits. And just have a look at the chat here, Justin. We have had a couple of requests. Well, last one was about 5 minutes ago to zoom in slightly. I don't know how zoomed out you are, but I think potentially people might be on mobiles and stuff, so might be on quite a small screen. And also we got RT back on again, saying that the tyre wear on Monaco is around about 6% a lot of the time, which does illustrate my point of, if you go much longer than 10 laps, your tyres will be too worn.
Great.
And yeah, pretty much everyone into the pits, as we're seeing there. So confirmation of a 3-stop race there for the majority of the field. Cesar Navarro is staying out for another lap. I imagine he will be pitting this lap. But looking like pretty much as they were in the previous stint, no real big winners or losers over that pit stop period, apart from, of course, just bigger gaps appearing here and there. And looks like a little bit of boost usage for Chandler Saito. They're just trying to get up ahead of Daniel Thomas, but a bit of boost usage back again to get back into P3, which will frustrate Chandler Saito no end, because I imagine he will be faster now, just because he's got brand new tyres, but he will now probably just sit behind him, not wanting to waste too much boost and try and get DRS at the end of this lap.
Excuse me. Yeah, I would imagine Daniel Thomas is pretty light on fuel, given that he's on his 9th lap on that second set of tires. So I wonder if that will make up the difference in tire life between himself and Chandler Saito behind him. This is actually the battle between the youngest and oldest managers in the league. Daniel Thomas being the oldest, Chandler Saito being the youngest, as Cesar Navarro comes into the pits. He's been stopping 1 lap later than the likes of Saito, Navarro, Carrasco, Dimier, Cabanes, and that stuff. So he's been staying out that 1 lap later. He's going to come out behind Cabanes, but ahead of Nicholas Pressey. So, yeah, right there you can see the 3-stop strategy. I think this is a perfect example here, Alex, between Cesar Navarro and Nicholas Pressey. Navarro is already a stop ahead of Nicholas Pressey, so they each have 1 stop still to make, and Cesar Navarro already just past the halfway point of this race, already ahead of the 2 stoppers. So yeah, it does seem that the 3-stop around Monaco is actually what's quickest, at least in these conditions.
Absolutely, yeah. And don't forget, though, we have got Nicolas Morales up in P1, who could be stretching it to a 2-stop. I don't know how much longer he stays out. If he stays out for another sort of 3 laps or so, he will be stretching it to a 2-stop. And again, just keep an eye on the winners and losers there. So as you mentioned there, Justin, Cesar Navarro did stay out for an extra lap or 2 on most of the rest of the other guys. But interestingly, he started 4th. He was then 5th. And then he was 6th. I think he was... He's definitely started 4th. I think that he was running 5th for the first stint, then running in 6th for the next stint, I believe it was, or even 7th. So basically, I'm getting a bit confused here, but basically he's certainly not gained by doing an overcut as you would around most tracks. And again, I think because this track is just such a tight track, it relies so heavily on the tyres that just as soon as they're worn, you just lose out. Even though you've got a much lighter car, you just really lose out on the corner grip. So Cesar Navarro, despite running longer, which again would normally be an advantage, he is just losing out and just losing a bit of time to the guys ahead. And let's not forget, Cesar Navarro is in 4th in the championship, just 10 points back from the leader. So he could certainly do without with dropping his positions and in the points.
Yeah, without question. I'm sure he's not going to be happy about that, because as you've said, it seems like at this stage of the race, and again, we are just past halfway distance. At this stage of the race, it seems that 9, 10, 10, 10 is the winning strategy here at Monaco, as Peter Mann now deploying a bit of boost, picking up the DRS on the back of Nicholas Pressey. Will he be able to squeeze by into the first corner? Not quite, but at the exit of that first corner, he does manage to make quick work of Nicholas Pressey, moves himself up into 8th position. Similar situation with Peter Mann, clearly on a 2-stop strategy. I believe everybody, or a 3-stop strategy. Everybody that's on a 3-stop strategy, I believe, has been into the pits at this point. So anybody that's doing the 2-stop should show as having just 1 pit stop. The likes of Nicholas Pressey, Jake Thompson, Autosport, and Nicholas Morales, most importantly. Just looking at the lap times, though, Chandler Saito is reeling him in. It's not at a massive rate of knots. He's closing in a couple of tenths per lap, if the last lap is any sort of indication. And we do not see Nicholas Morales come into the pits at this time. I have to say, Jose Luis Navarro having his best race of the season by far. If he were to finish in 2nd or 3rd, it would actually more than double his current points standings, if I'm not mistaken about that one. I think he's got less than 10 points as it stands right now. Oh, and I have to point this out. Nicholas Pressey switches to the soft tires. That's a very interesting call. A bit of a gamble, going for something different. We've seen that pay dividends in the AOR IGP League in the past, but we've also seen that not work out for people as well, like the 3-stop strategy in China for Cesar Navarro. I think he ended up finishing outside the top 5 after that one. That sort of thing. So this could help him along, but I'm not so sure. It's actually only gotten colder since the race started, so I'm not sure how those softs are going to work.
Yeah, I was just about to mention the same thing, Justin. I noticed it dropped a degree. Expecting Nicolas Morales potentially in this lap. No, he's staying out one more lap. And just to demonstrate the fact that the undercut is more powerful this track, Nicolas Morales there on the lighter fuel, but much more worn tyres and clearly quite a bit slower than Chandler Saita in P2 there. So again, just an on-track illustration of what we're talking about. And looks like he's already about to lose his one less pit stop than the rest of the field. So it'll be interesting to see where he can make his way up to, because of course he is going to only pit once more. Then he will be on fresher tyres than everyone else. So it'll be interesting to see if he can be faster after he pits, which again is not what we're used to. And as you mentioned there, Nicholas Pressey coming out on soft tyres, 1 degree cooler. I wonder if he can be on push level 5, really pushing the tyres hard. If he can keep those up to temperature, we'll keep an eye on his lap times. And I suspect that is because he did 12 laps, then 12 laps. I suspect you saw very high tyre wear on the super soft tyres and decided to switch to the soft just so that they don't wear quite so much. But of course, they aren't as fast. Their peak grip is lower. We should give a quick update on Autosport as well. Unfortunately, they are right at the back of the field this race, and looking like their strategy, they're going for a 13 laps first stop, and then looks like they're going to do the same. So they're on a 2-stop, which seems to be quite a good strategy. Potentially not quite as good as the leaders, but still a good strategy. But just potentially they might have gone all the wrong way with car development or something, because just don't have the pace today. And I'm sure you already picked up on the stream, Justin, but Nicolas Morales has now pitted for his final stop. So this is him now. He won't be pitting again, so it'll be interesting to see his pace against the cars around him. This lap won't be representative because it's an out lap, of course, but we'll get a middle set at the time. So it will be interesting to see if he can be faster than leaders to give them some sort of, something to think about towards the end of this race. Because if he can be faster for the next sort of 2 laps or so, 2 or 3 laps before they pit, then of course he will be back into the lead, because I think he was only just about, was he in P2 when he pitted, Justin? Did you catch that?
No, I think he was in the lead. I don't think Saita actually managed to get by him, but I mean, it was very close behind them. I will tell you what did happen though, is that he definitely backed Navarro, he backed Saita into Navarro. So I thought Navarro was going to be on the attack on Chandler Saita. However, Navarro has fallen off the back of Chandler Saita and into the clutches of Nicolas Carrasco, the Spain winner from last week, who is being followed by his compatriot Felix Cabanes, who is just 1.7 seconds adrift of that battle between Navarro and Carrasco. Johan Dimier as well, really not far off. I mean, he's getting pretty close to being within DRS range, as is Cesar Navarro. Peter Mann is a bit further off, though. And they're all lapping very similar sort of times. When I was looking at the sector times from Morales, though, yeah, he's not lapping any quicker. He's putting in the same sort of times as Saita. His Sector 2 last lap was actually a few tenths slower than Saita, and he's only matching him at this stage. And I think it's about a 12 to 14 second loss of time, and he's currently 17 seconds behind Saita. So I think he might come out around Nicolas Carrasco or thereabouts. Jake Thompson manages to overtake Autosport for 15th position. Jake Thompson has made his final stop. Autosport has not. So Autosport is going to be dropping back even further off the back of Jake Thompson. But it is getting very, very close up at the front, or it was getting close. Now they've kind of spread out once again. However, Cesar Navarro right onto the back of Johan Dimier. So the battles keep changing. It looked like it was going to be Saita and Navarro, then it looked like it was going to be Navarro and Carrasco, but at this point it does look like Dimier and Navarro are the closest ones on track. Navarro should be getting the DRS at the end of this lap.
Yeah, so just having a look at Nicolas Pressey down in P14 on the soft tyres. 29.9 was his last lap, and Nicolas Morales at a 29.3. So clearly the soft tyres aren't quite as quick, but they will last longer, as we mentioned. And I'm expecting potentially some of the guys to come in. Nope, must be next lap. Oh, no, one of them comes in. Felix Cabanes does come into the pits for brand new super soft tyres. And as you said, what we're watching right now is Nicolas Morales. His last lap, it looks like he's doing personal best this lap so far. His last lap was a 28.9, which is actually 3 tenths quicker than the leader. So I know what you're saying about the pit lane time there, Justin, but let's not forget that there is, I think, a little bit of time as well for in and out laps. So I'm expecting the leaders will be a bit slower this lap because their tyres will now be over 50% worn. So this will be the lap that Nicolas Morales can potentially gain a few tenths of a second on the leaders. So I'm expecting him to come out. I'm going to say it. I'm expecting him to come out in the lead just about. And then what will be interesting will be the pace of everyone, because once the leaders are pitted, everyone will be on the same fuel level. That will all be evened out. And then it will just be all about tyre wear. And if that is the case, if Nicolas Morales is in the lead coming into this race, what will be very interesting is when his tyres go off, because as soon as his tyres go off, the guys behind will be on much fresher tyres, and they could potentially be all over the back of him. And just looking at sector times, rather, to confirm what I just said, 2/10 in the first sector, he was quicker, and then 2/10 in the middle sector. So let's see then. Let's see if I'm right here, Justin. Is he going to come out in the lead just about, or is he going to be into second or third? It's looking pretty good. Is he just about into the lead? So there we go. That's my prediction. I was right by about, what was that, Justin? About 3/10 of a second?
Yep. That was very, very narrow margins. But yeah, Nicholas Morales does indeed come out in the lead of the race. Now, he doesn't really have much boost to play with. For those that are not initiate in iGP Manager, I can tell you he does have a little bit there. It's just a little tiny sliver, maybe 5-10%, something like that. Chandler Saito with significantly more, I would say about 35-40% still remaining for the young American. Jose Luis Navarro has completely drained his boost bar. He doesn't have anything remaining whatsoever. Neither does Nicolas Carrasco, neither does Felix Cabanes, and neither does Johan Dimier. Cesar Navarro. Peter Mann still has a little bit, I'd say 25-30% or so still remaining for our current championship leader. But it is Daniel Thomas that is still running around out there on the super soft tires. And on his second stint, he's bound to be coming in this lap. He's going to be doing a very, very short stint at the end. If he comes in at the end of lap 32, it's only a 7-lap stint that he's going to be on for, and he is going to drop right down. However, he is going to have very healthy tires. I don't think he's going to be a threat to the current leaders of this race, as Nicholas Morales really extending that gap now to Chandler Saito. Really surprising that we're not seeing Chandler deploying some of that boost to close up to the back of him. Maybe he's just trying to play it safe and not risk losing any positions, or maybe he feels comfortable knowing that Morales' tires are going to fall off much, much quicker than his, Alex.
I think it's a combination of that, and also once you get to this point in the race, you don't want to use your boost until the very last lap. You want to make sure that if you've got a shot at the win, which is looking like he's going to have a very good shot at the win, you want to make sure that you've got your boost right on the last lap to make sure that you can make sure of that win, that the guy behind you wants to come to the last lap can't just boost past you. And yeah, as you said, Justin, I was keeping on the sector times, as you were, and I think just taking a little while potentially to get his tyres warmed up into the right range. But Nicholas Morales, as you said, is still pulling away at the moment. Last lap was 6/10 quicker, actually, so a long, long way quicker. The last sector was where most of it was made up. There was 3/10 in the last sector. First sector, we're getting 24.7 for Nicholas Morales and 24.8 for Chandler Saito. So really interesting that he's faster at the moment. Clearly has got a lot of pace in this race, just gone for the alternative strategy and just stretching his lead at the moment. It's up to 2 seconds now. But again, we are expecting him to lose probably up to half a second a lap, I'd say, once he gets to lap... I'm going to say about lap 8, lap 7 or lap 8, which actually this is his 7th lap on the tyres. So his tyres will be getting very close to being over that 50% cliff that you get in IGP. So he will start to slow down very soon, which when we'll see Chandler Saito move up very close to him. And just going back to the boost then, so we've got Nicholas Morales, who's on probably 10% boost. Chandler Saito's up to maybe a third boost, so a little bit of boost, certainly a boosted advantage over his rival in P1. Luis Navarro has got pretty much no boost. Nicolas Carrasco, pretty much no boost. Felix Cabanes, pretty much no boost. Johan Dimier, pretty much no boost. Cesar Navarro, pretty much no boost. And Peter Mann has got about a third of boost. So that's just highlighting how much boost they used early in this race, that they're all just having to run around behind each other now. And actually, I think we should keep an eye on Peter Mann here, Justin, as well. He's on a very similar strategy to the guys ahead, so there won't be any tyre wear difference. But he has got more boost. So if we can get into some DRS, he might be able to boost past his rivals and end up, wow, because we've got such an incredibly tight race today, he could even end up, what do we reckon, 5th, maybe even 4th?
Yeah, I'd certainly say that's possible. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on him. Again, he is the championship leader heading into this race. I don't think he's going to be the championship leader coming out of this race, but that is still yet to be determined, of course, so we're not going to assume anything too much just yet, but they continue on for another lap, and we're really coming to the end of the race now. Only 4 laps remain here in Monaco. The championship leader, Peter Mann, currently sitting in 8th position, still with some boosts available. Chandler Saito, our pole position man, who won the Monaco race in the qualifying league, currently in 2nd position, just losing a little bit of time, about a 10th and a half to Nicholas Morales last lap. Morales is now on his 10th lap on this set of super softs, though, so really expecting his pace to start to drop off as the laps tick down and as the tire wear ticks down. on that set of super softs that he's running. He is the leading two-stopper, and it really, really does seem that the two-stop was not the right call for most teams out there. We can see they're, for the most part, bookending the current runners with Morales in first, and then Thompson and Autosport also on the two-stop strategy in 15th and 16th, with Pressey, the only one in the middle. He is on those soft tires, and I have to say, they haven't absolutely destroyed his race. He is lapping actually quicker than Franco Incerralde behind him. Simone Fazzolari is not having a great race. Just casting my mind back to the 5 previous races we've had so far in this season, as Peter Mann's getting very close. Let me switch over to that while I talk about Fazzolari. We've had 5 races so far for Fazzolari. I believe he has failed to score points in 2 of them, and then finished in the top 5 for the other 3 races. So that seems to be Fazzolari's MO. If he does indeed fail to score points again here today at Monaco, then that will be 3 races outside of the points and 3 races inside the top 5. So he really seems to be a first or last sort of driver, not really consistent, but still getting fantastic results. Again, picking up that 2nd place in Spain last week. That was truly incredible to watch, but as Alex said, I do believe Peter Mann is the one to watch. He picked up the DRS on Cesar Navarro, one of the championship contenders at the moment. So this is very important for Peter Mann to try and get past Cesar Navarro. He does so indeed with a bit of boost usage coming out of that first corner. And again, Navarro with no boost to defend. And Peter Mann seeming like the faster car at the moment, despite having 1 lap older tires compared to Navarro, Alex.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see where he gets to. But apologies to Peter Mann, but I think we should jump on board with the leader now. Nicolas Morales' tyres have fallen off that cliff for about the last lap or so. He is now around about 0.2 per sector slower than Chandler Saiter. So he is hunting him down. He's gone from about 2.3, 2.4 seconds to 1.2 now. And now he's still about 2... Oh, no, he lost 0.2 that last sector. I think he might now just be hitting the dirty air. So this could be when he needs to use a little bit of boost to get some DRS and just push past him. But I think he might try and wait to the very end. He will be safe with the knowledge that none of his rivals have got any boost, really. Nicolas Morales has got a little bit, so he needs to be mindful of that. But the guys behind him have got pretty much no boost, which I think is using... Did choose a little bit of boost up the hill there just to try and stay close. But again, he's aware of the dirty air. He doesn't want to be wasting his boost and then just losing that time in dirty air again. So 0.8 of a second at the last count. He was 0.3 quicker in that first sector with that boost usage. But is this the lap that he makes the move? We are on lap 38 of 39. So at the end of this lap will be the last real chance to overtake, because of course we will finish on the lap after that. But again, let's not forget, Nicolas Morales has got some boost himself. Will that be enough to defend down the pit straight? Has Chandler Saiter left it too late? Their sector times are like for like now, 0.8 of a second between the 2 leaders. The last lap, Chandler Saiter was only about a 10th quicker or so than Nicolas Morales. Not a lot at all. We're coming up to the DRS zone now, and there we go. We're seeing some boost deployment. Nicolas Morales is trying to push out of the DRS zone from Chandler Saiter to see if he can avoid the DRS, which he doesn't quite manage to do. Chandler Saiter is going to get DRS. Will he be able to get him down this straight? Looks like he's a little bit too far back, as these guys are slightly lower level, but now he will boost up the hill, but he's not got a lot left. Has he left it too late? Is he going to boost past him? I think he might have used all of his boost now, you know, and now he's going to be in the dirty air, so I think he might have left it too late there, Justin.
Yeah, I think he might have, and I think he used too much boost getting within DRS range. I have to say, fair play to Nicolas Morales. Very well done, using that boost just before the DRS zone, forcing Saita to use that DRS, or use all of his boost on that DRS straight, and it just wasn't enough. He might have actually been better off holding off until after this chicane that they're making their way through here now. And unfortunately, Autosport has been into the pits for an unexpected 3rd visit, so I think that's a fuel level issue that they have encountered on this particular occasion. And Saita is going to be tantalizingly close to the back of Nicolas Morales, but it is going to be Morales who picks up the win ahead of Chandler Saita, who started on pole position. Nicolas Carrasco finishes behind Jose Luis Navarro, who picks up his first podium of the season, though. Peter Mann, in the end, does stay ahead of Cesar Navarro, very, very close between them. Valentin Cordier picks up a point on his first race here in the league. He is going to be the exact same level as all of these drivers, all of our reserve drivers, just so that the viewers know, all of our reserve drivers have been racing in their own league. And Cordier was winning that league by quite some margin, I think by 30 points or thereabouts. And that is why when we unfortunately lost Kevin Gonzalez, that's why Cordier was the one that was promoted, because he was leading the reserve championship, as it were. And he does pick up some well-deserved point in his first race. But that is going to be the end of the Monaco race. That is the end of round number 6. We are going to wait to look at the standings and see what this has done to the championship. But let's just have a quick reminder of how it looked going into this championship. It was Nicholas Morales who was in second with 69 points, and he just won the race while Peter Mann was in 7th. So I think it's safe to say that Morales is going to have a fairly commanding lead after this Monaco race. But it has, I think, tightened up a little bit more further down in the field. So that's going to be good news, as we're just waiting for the race to officially come to an end, and then we can have a quick look at the standings and see what that's done to the race. But, I mean, I have to say...
if I can just jump in there, Justin.
Yeah.
What an incredible race that was. Really, really close. And we saw the top, let me have a look now at the gaps. We saw the top 9 covered by less than 10 seconds. So that's an average of around about a second per lap between the cars. And that's pretty much the dirty air gap as well. So really incredible race there. I couldn't believe that Nicholas Morales managed to hold on to that. I thought he was a goner. When I knew he was going to have 2 or 3 laps extra of worn tyres, of tyres that have fallen off the cliff, I thought there's no chance, especially with the boost difference. But really, really cleverly played by Morales. I have to say, I think that was a bit of a mistake by Saito, just to leave it that late. I think he was just hoping to be able to get him on the last lap. Potentially, he thought Morales had run out of boost, which would have enabled him to get past. But yeah, so maybe he'll be ruining that mistake. But still, P2, solid result for him. And as you said there, Nicholas Morales was second in the championship in the previous race. So great job for him to get that win. And I just can't believe how close that was, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. You know, the Monaco track tends to spice things up a little bit as far as the running order and whatnot. It is very qualifying dependent, but clearly today strategy actually won and not qualifying pace, as Nicholas Morales very, very nearly edged out Chandler Saita. I mean, that was so close. Honestly, when he came out ahead of Saita, I was surprised by that alone. I was already surprised when he came out ahead of Chandler. But when he stayed ahead of Chandler for that entire time, I mean, I really did not expect that. So I have to say, very well done to Nicholas Morales. Very well deserved, because, yeah, I mean, he was the faster guy. It was, as you say, very, very close between all of the drivers. But yeah, very surprised by that result. Let's take a quick look at the championship standings. I'm gonna show it, and then it's probably going to and then it's probably going to refresh. So yep, there it is. It refreshed immediately after that. So I apologize. Let's bring that back up. Here we go. There we go. So this is how it's looking for the championship. Nicholas Morales leads the way now with 94 points to Peter Mann's 76. So that is not an insignificant difference in points. That is 18 points between the two of them. Nicholas Carrasco moves even closer to Peter Mann in the standings, just 3 points behind Peter Mann after another fantastic race for the Spaniard. Nicholas Navarro in 4th position with 64 points. He's going to be dropping a bit further back from the leaders after today's race. But of course, the big mover in today's race was Chandler Saito, who actually moves ahead of Simone Fazzolari. Very surprising. All the way up into 5th position now with 44 points. That is a 50-point gap, though, to Nicholas Morales, which is 2 race wins for him and 2 DNFs, or 2 non-point scoring finishes for Nicholas Morales. So you have to say, after that race, it does look like it's in favor of Nicholas Morales. However, that's not the first time we've said that, is it, Alex?
Absolutely, yeah, and we had the championship stretch away just a couple of races ago. The gap stretched a little bit, and then it's come right down to 1 point before this race. So, as you said, pretty big lead at the top now. But you know, again, IGP, it's so easy to make a mistake on strategy and then end up outside the points, especially with the league this close. You know, as I mentioned, just over 9 seconds covered the top 9. So really incredibly close. You know, if you make one mistake on strategy or have a bad quali, you end up right down the order. You know, as we saw with Peter Mann, actually, you know, he started P10, he finished P7. Such is the nature of Monaco. You know, I think he was leading the championship, wasn't he? He's now second. So yeah, you just never know what's going to happen with a field this close.
Yeah. Also, I think worth mentioning here, another big mover after today's race was Jose Luis Navarro, who did indeed more than double his points tally after the race in Monaco, moving up into 11th position, now sitting on 24 points, which is significantly more than he had coming into this race. And again, I just want to give a shout out to Valentin Cordier, first race with the primary broadcast league, and he's already got a point to his name. So a great start for the newbie to the league. An unfortunate day for Ed Straw and Jake Thompson, who continue to remain pointsless so far in this season. But of course, again, lots of opportunities still remaining. That was round 6 out of 17, so we still have 11 races to go in this inaugural season, and I fully expect that they will get even closer and closer to the rest of the pack as things get tighter and tighter. But again, another fantastic race. Really enjoyed that one, and thank you to Alex Gillon. Thank you so much for joining me, sir.
Yes, no worries. Thank you, Justin, as well for commentating too. And wow, I mean, what a great race. I certainly don't regret spending some of my time doing these races when they're just that close. That was really exciting towards the end. I got really quite excited. So already looking forward to next week now.
Yep, and of course, thank you everybody for tuning in. The next week's race is going to be from Turkey, a 29-lap race at the same time next week as well. Of course, 7:55 p.m. British Standard Time, 6:55 p.m. GMT, with the race starting at 8 p.m. and 7 p.m. respectively. But thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week for the race in Turkey. Goodbye.